Should I give it a sec? Because the last 5 episodes is cut off like the first thing I say. I know, every time. It cuts off what I say. Welcome into Sports Around the Bar, guys. Hopefully you're hearing this intro. If not, I guess it's going to cut off. You're going to come in like halfway through the first game like usual. As always, I am Jakey Bartender, and I'm joined on center stool by my co-host Drew. And season's winding down, man. It always runs by real quick. It feels like it should be like week 6.
It's not.
Season's over. Both our teams, which is nice, in the playoff hunt.
Yeah. Mine more realistic than yours.
We're 1 game down on the division leader. How
More
closer do you need to be?
Than yours. Well, because the West sucks and the South is hard.
That's true. That is true. Who would have picked that going into this year? Welcome in, guys. We got a lot of football action to talk about. We're going to talk about how the Cowboys let us both down on Thursday night. After that, we're going to get into every game you see on the table in order. The only 2 we're missing are the Seahawks and Rams and Giants and Eagles, both on Sunday and Monday night. So, again, we'll talk about those on Sunday night before they happen. We're going to get to all the rest of the action, though.
Yeah. What's going on, Michael? Glad you could join us. James, hi. Always good to see you as well. Yeah, let's a lot of good games this week. A lot of important games for a lot of teams. You know, their playoff hopes are still in, this week. That's it. Playoffs tensions.
Crunch time,
it's all about
boys.
Time to win games, win them right now, just like the Bears are doing. 3 in a row, looking like their offense has kind of found its niche. Mitch Trubisky might have played his best game ever as a pro. I mean, how much credit do you got to give to the Bears? Or
have we written them off too quick?
Or is this just a complete dumpster fire falling into the black abyss Cowboys team?
Yeah. Yes, on both accounts. I mean, the Bears are playing a little bit better. They're not back to where they were. The defense isn't back to being like a top 3 unit in football, but they looked okay yesterday. They shut the Cowboys out for the vast majority of that game. And then, towards the end, the Cowboys kind of closed the distance. Beyond that, look, I think the bigger disappointment here is the Cowboys. 100%. Oh, yeah. The Cowboys let us down. They've let everybody down. Somehow they're still in the lead in their division, even though it's only by a half game now. The Eagles are going to play another easy team this week. They're still in the lead for their division, and they match up with those Eagles here in a week or 2.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Watching this game, and to be honest with you, when you look at it and you watch that defense play, there was no hustle. There was no want. There was no guys just running all over the field trying to make plays. It was mistakes. It was penalties. It was slow and ugly play. And it made the Bears look like a powerhouse on offense. If it wasn't for Mitch Trubisky's, well, to be honest, that interception was just a great catch. But if it wasn't for that, it would have literally been
all Bears all the way through.
All the way through.
Exactly. And the other thing I'll say is they had no problem running with Dave Montgomery. Even though he didn't crack that 100-yard mark you like to see, it still was a pretty good performance, especially from a rookie. That's what happens when defenses get paid, right? We talk about it a lot. Half the time, you pay somebody a big contract, they kind of ease off the gas just a little bit, and in the NFL, it can make all the difference. I think that's what's happened with the Cowboys this season. They all got paid. The defense is feeling good about themselves. They're not that great to begin with. They've got a few great players. Maybe the rest of the roster needs some buffing up. They need some secondary players. They're going to need some defensive line help still, especially in that interior. The Cowboys, to me, though, it's just a season of letdowns, man. It's a season of letdown. Eagles, Cowboys, Bears, all these teams are like, man, they have the potential to win a Super Bowl. Are going into this week 14 here, barely fighting their way up to 500. It's terrible.
Yeah. Michael says we got the cans right this week. It's because I walked in while he was still
were you fact checking me since you've been in here?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I messed up last week, but I got it right this week. I paid a lot of attention to it.
I'm saying I walked in while you were setting it up, and you're like, oh, I can't make a mistake. He's here.
Exactly. I perform better under pressure.
Sean, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. Will says, got to go Falcons this weekend. He's already picking the Falcons to beat
the Panthers.
The Panthers, huh?
No Riverboat Ron. Not looking good. We'll go into that in just a sec. We'll do a few more of these comments here. Scott says, Urban Meyer or Lincoln Riley to the Cowboys. Would you take that job? I mean, maybe Urban Meyer seems a little bit more likely when you look at where he's at in his career right now. He's been at Ohio State. He's been at Florida. He's run top-tier programs, and now he's unemployed. He's probably more interested in a pro-level job. If you're Lincoln Riley, are you leaving to go to this mess? Are you leaving Oklahoma to go to this mess? I'm not.
Yeah, last episode you already kind of put your 2 cents in about this, that there's no reason for a guy to leave at top of his game in his respected sport to go and be dealing with whatever,
Jerry Jones.
Dealing with whatever the Cowboys are right now, the most talented, terrible team out there.
Or is that the Bears? Bears got a lot of talent, too. I don't know if they win that. Even though, they did win last night. Maybe you're right. Maybe the Cowboys took that title from them.
Oh, man, it's rough, to be honest. I want to catch up on some of these comments. They're going crazy. Ian, good to see you. I don't know if you said that. He said, hey, you all Cowboys let me down. When will they win?
When do they play the Eagles? I think it's next week. It might be the week after. But again, the Cowboys...
Did the Giants again, too? They might win that game.
Yeah, that would be... Well, they should win that game. And they've done good against bullies, right? They've bullied a lot of bad teams this year. That's how they got 6 of their wins. All 6 of their wins. I don't know. I look at the Cowboys... At this point, yeah, it's disappointing, but at least they're still in the hunt, right? The Bears, it's going to take a miracle for the Bears to get back into it.
Ian says also, saving the best game for last, he sees. Here we go, Steelers.
Upset alert. That's cute. Well, maybe. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Martavis says that the Falcons need to win this game. He could care less if they lose their last 3. It's all about sticking it to that division rival. Put the Panthers to bed. Shut off the playoff hopes, even though they're pretty much on life support already. It would be a good win. I think so. But again, loss here, does it really hurt the Falcons? I'm not so sure. It might help Dan Quinn keep his job out there in Atlanta.
Yeah, I don't really see any of this team quitting, regardless of who they're playing against. I think that team relies around Dan Quinn. I honestly do.
I hear you. And Scott wants to know who we have this weekend in the rematch between Ruiz and Joshua. I'm going to go Joshua. I mean, he's been the heavy favorite. He looked really bad in that fight, and we saw Ruiz win. I don't want to say anything because he doesn't look like a fighter, because you don't have to look just totally cut up to be a great fighter, but Joshua just looks like such a freak. I can't imagine he's going to come in as flat as he was last time, right? I'm gonna go with Joshua. You going with the big man?
Yeah. To be honest, I really don't have a dog in the fight. I just want it to be good. I honestly just want it to be a good matchup.
And James wants to know, do the Texans win on Sunday? I mean, you got to like the way they play, but we'll get to that in just a minute, I promise. You got to like the matchup. That's all I can say. Spoiler alert. You got to like... Anytime you're matching up Denver this late, even though they've been tougher these past few weeks.
It's crazy. With all the injuries they have, big name injuries.
They're not playing for anything. They're like, let's just go prove it.
Yeah, still playing well. Chris, good to see you. He said, Ravens win. He says, let's go. He thinks the Ravens are going to beat the Bills. Is this not...
It's going to be a big one.
Is this not going to be maybe a hiccup game for the Ravens to kind of humble themselves back down? Or do you think they're just going to roll over a tough defense like the Bills? We won't get too much.
I think that's going to be a great matchup. They're two teams built almost identically, where they want to run the ball. They've got a very mobile quarterback that, even though they have a little bit of passing issues, even though they don't have the strongest wide receiving sets in the NFL, they're finding success through the air sometimes. And they're finding enough to win games. Great defenses all around. I think that's going to be a slugfest. I think it's going to be absolutely great. This is like the kind of team that if I'm the Ravens, I don't want to match up against, because they play the same type of ball we do. I want to go up against a team like the Chiefs that it's almost strength versus strength, and I can count on my guys just plowing the rock. The Bills aren't going to let you run up the middle quite so easily. And I pick on the Chiefs because they're like the most dynamic. I'm not just saying that's just because it's your team, although that does help.
It does. But I bet you it's a hard time for you to fall asleep at night sometimes for the way you make fun of my team.
It is. It bothers me. It really keeps me up. Ryan says, Offensive Rookie of the Year is Josh Jacobs. Over 1,000 yards with 4 games to go. By the way, he's been playing with a fractured shoulder since Week 7. I mean, yeah, he's been good. He's definitely in the running. Is there another offensive rookie that you want to take over him? I think Josh Jacobs is going to win it, but I think a lot of it, too, is because Josh Jacobs has had a lot more of opportunities than a lot of his other draft class members have.
Yeah, which is nothing.
Fine, yeah. But right now, yeah, you look at the numbers, it's Josh Jacobs. No, I agree.
And neither can the rest of his rookies.
And that's impressive, right? A lot of rookies wilt this time of year. A lot of rookies, because they get to that 12, 13, 14 games played. That's where the college season is. That's usually what they're used to. And then all of a sudden there's 4 more regular season games, and then maybe playoffs, especially with the Raiders still in the hunt. This is usually where rookies turn it off. I want to see Josh Jacobs stick in the fight and kind of keep this production going.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't really think there is a close second. I think it's pretty much his. I mean, the only way it wouldn't be if something dramatic happens to him, which, God, we hope not. So...
Tyler, good to see you too. He says, long time no talk. Yes, I would say welcome to Jerry World. Love it. But let's talk about the upcoming Kansas City win. Well, we'll see. Another big game. Martavis says he still has his Falcons winning, as well as he could care less if they lose their last 3. And what are our thoughts on the XFL team uniforms? I think they look okay. I don't know. There's always that introductory period with new teams where you're like, this doesn't really feel right. And I kind of feel that way. I definitely like them better than the AAF. Some of the AAF's jerseys and like the Orlando Apollos, like the team names and stuff like that, not that sexy. I like the XFL much better than what we've seen out of the AAF to start. Hopefully they get some traction.
Ian, I'm sorry I read your comment wrong. He said no Cowboys let me down win. then they win. What? I don't even know what he's saying. Can you read it? I obviously
I don't even know where you are.
English.
I don't even know where you are.
Okay, good.
John says, keep sleeping on those Dolphins. John, props to you, man. We know you've been sticking through
There's the
some
one
hard
right
times.
above that.
Oh, okay. Ian also says, no, the Cowboys let him down when they win. Okay.
Then win.
I think that's supposed to be they.
Yeah, see? I don't know English, so I don't know what that is.
All right, it's all French to me. All right, we'll move on. A couple more of these, and then I promise we'll get into the games. Scott says Ruiz looks like he blew up to 287. I haven't watched the weigh-in, so I'm not sure where he's at, but he's always been a big boy, right? Always been a big boy. And even going into that fight with Joshua the first time, everyone's like, this dude's got no chance. So I just think Joshua's going to get his mindset right. He's going to come in. There's going to be a revenge fight, and he's going to knock him out. And it sets up the third fight because that's what boxing wants. They want to have it where you kind of split those first two fights, and you can come back and sell tickets to the third one. So I think the judges might be a little slanted towards Joshua already. We'll take off the tinfoil hats now. But I think Joshua should win this one this weekend. It's going to be a good fight anyway, though. I'm probably going to watch it, but like before, probably not paying for the pay-per-view. I didn't say that.
Eric says, do you think Cam Newton will be with the Panthers next year?
Depends on how Kyle Allen finishes these last 4 games. And this is a great segue into our first game here. It depends on how Kyle Allen finishes. This game is going to be incredibly important because it's going to be one of the weakest defenses he's going to face. No offense, Falcons fans, but we all know this defense has not played great for most of the year. They've had some good games. Saints, Panthers come to mind. This is going to be an important kind of trial for Kyle Allen because if he finishes strong, I think you're safe to let Cam Newton go and say, hey, reasonably, this kid can give us 16 games. If the blow-up continues and Kyle Allen looks bad for these next 4, I think you almost need to hang on to Cam and I don't want to say give him the starting job, but it needs to at least be an open competition next season. His team is too good to not have a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, he's not going to be. You're talking about a new coach coming in, a new regime, and regardless of where Cam is in his career, that's the old regime. I think it's time to move on. You clear up some cap space, and I think Kyle Allen and Will Grier will kind of run the show unless they decide to bring in a veteran. And they're probably going to draft another rookie. That would be my guess. Out of a new coach, Cam Newton's probably old news in Carolina. Could be completely wrong.
Very likely.
That's kind of what I would.
Very likely, but they're probably going to have too good of a draft pick to go out and get one. There's going to be a lot of teams interested in quarterbacks this year, and I don't know. Again, 2 might stay in college.
You know what? To be honest, the way that the wide receiver group and these corners look like, they need to be fixing those places too. So they might even skip on a quarterback and not hit it until like the 3rd round and still just run with.
It would be a bold move, especially if Kyle Allen stinks
Grier.
and you let go of Cam Newton. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if Kyle Allen finishes his last 4 weeks weak, and you're going to let Cam Newton go, and you're like, we're just going to draft a wide receiver or a corner. That's a tough start. That's a tough. You're going to be staring a bad season down the face.
It's way too early to say that Allen's not going to be good.
I'm not saying that's the case.
No, I'm just saying. I think it's way too early to say that, and I think when you bring in a head coach, he might look at Allen and go, hey, I can polish this and make this better.
I hope you're right. Justin, good to see you, man. Just to let you know, you won a shirt in our giveaway that we finally did 3 months later. So hit us up in the messages afterward. We'll talk about how we're going to get that to you. A couple more of these. Ryan says, defensive rookie of the year. Any love for Max Crosby? Basically a 4th-round pick and playing like Nick Bosa. Well, maybe not quite that good, but he's been very good. He's definitely been better than Cleveland Farrell, who they took with a 4th overall pick. Can you imagine if they would have taken him and Josh Allen? I've said this before to Raiders fans, but can you imagine if they would have taken Max Crosby and Josh Allen, who's playing like 30% of the snaps and he has like 8 or 9 sacks?
Yeah.
Just killing it for Jacksonville. Don't get me wrong. This draft class has been pretty good for Oakland. Hunter Renfrow looks like a hit. Their cornerback, was it Mullen? Looks like a hit. I think what's his name? I can't think what his name is. The dude from Clemson. Second-round pick. Has looked pretty good to this point, and that's been a guy I was pretty down on before. It's been a good draft class for him.
Did you say hi to James Marksberry?
Who?
James, good to see you. I didn't know if you did or not. I'm glad you're here, man.
Terry, good to see you too. He says, should Dallas let go of Jason Garrett and go after Ron Rivera, or should he go to Cleveland? I think Ron Rivera is probably likely to land more of a defensive coordinator role. There's a chance somebody hires him as a head coach. Just depends what this market looks like and how many of these college coaches are actually willing to go to the pros. I just don't know with his kind of resume that I want to go. Like, if I'm the Browns, I don't know that that's the right move. I'd like better than Freddie Kitchens, but maybe you go with someone like McCarthy that's going to maximize the offense you're already good at, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say never. I would never say never because there has been a lot of history of bounce back coaches that took teams that were already, in a sense, complete and brought Super Bowl championships to them. Because Belichick was fired and then went to the Patriots. Pete Carroll's another one. There's a few other ones I can think of that this is a great opportunity to take. John Gruden. That's another one. Just taking over a team and could win a Super Bowl championship. And to be honest, if you could look at one, maybe it's the Cowboys. The problem is, I don't think the problem. Jerry Jones is one of those owners that wants to control everything. He is the limelight there. He wants yes men, just like Jason Garrett is. I don't really know if Ron Rivera is that type of coach to go in there and accept that role behind Jerry.
Right.
I mean, he kind of wants to run his team. I mean, that's just kind of the coach he is. Very highly spoken of among his peers. Not really just a guy that's going to take whatever lashing Jerry Jones gives him.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. I don't.
And I am with you, Scott. Cleveland could use someone like Ron Rivera. I just don't know that that's the direction they're going to go for, especially when who knows, maybe they do, and they say, he can fix this defense. We've got the offensive players. We were going to go try to sign a decent offensive coordinator, and we're off to the races from there. But if he would get the morale back under control. If he would get all these guys that are out in the media complaining about everything every week, Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham, now you got Myles Garrett swinging helmets. If he could just get the team back under control, it'd be worth signing him. 100% on that. I don't know that that's who they're going after. I don't hate the fit.
At this point, Freddie Kitchens has that job. The only opening there is the Carolina Panthers. That's it. That's the only opening. Regardless.
Well, Washington, reasonably. Is Bill Callahan safe?
Yeah, and Washington.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
is Bill Callahan safe?
That's my bet on that one.
Yeah. No, I get you.
But that's the only two openings. I mean, everyone else is pretty much has that job, and we move forward from it. Justin says, give Kyle Allen a few years, draft a second or third rounder, and see if they can strike gold at quarterback.
Wasn't that what they kind of did with Will Grier? And I'm not against just taking as many of those picks as you want to take and wait until something hits.
But to be honest, Justin, if you're going to stick with Kyle Allen for a few years, there's no reason to take a second or third round quarterback. I would probably say more like a fifth or a sixth round.
Well,
there's too many holes. At corner, they need help at. They need help at wide receiver. Luckily,
but
the draft
it is the most important
position.
Spots. It is the most important position.
Their defensive
and you should always be
banged
trying to improve. I wouldn't hate it. I understand where you're coming from too. I never hate swinging the bat at a quarterback because what happens when you hit? What if you get a Tom Brady out of the sixth? What if you get a Gardner Minshew that you can have that guy be your backup? And I mean, these days you almost need two quarterbacks.
Will's never even had a chance. We really don't even know what we've seen out of Will.
True. But again, I guess a lot of it depends on how much they believe in Will Grier, and obviously it's not as much if they're going with Kyle Allen ahead of him. But I don't know. I look at the Panthers. They're still in a tough spot at quarterback. We've talked about it at length. Let's talk about the game. Are you ready to move on to the game?
I was just reading all the comments, man.
Which has been great, guys. Yeah, keep them coming. We appreciate it.
If you want to stop reading the comments, I mean, there's still more.
No, go
that's
ahead.
your call, man. If you want to go in the game, we go in the game.
You're the one telling me to hurry it up, so please, by all means, go through the comments. Don't make me the bad guy.
You're the bad guy. God.
I feel like it. Shut up, guys. Nobody cares what you think. No, go ahead.
Martavius says, do you think Tua he thinks Tua will enter the draft. I don't think he would want to risk getting hurt and losing value as far as his draft stock, if I can talk.
Well, it's really, really interesting because Tua's already had like 3 significant injuries in about 15 starts at Alabama. What's it been, 15, 18 starts that he's had? Maybe a little bit more than that. But he's had, in basically the scope of like 2 years in the championship game.
He's going to be in the draft this year.
I don't know. I don't think so. I really don't. Not after an injury like this. It's super... it should be super kind of deterring when you look at how few games this guy has started. He's had to have serious surgeries on both legs. He's had to have a serious surgery on a hip now too. I think you almost want to come back to Alabama, who's going to protect you for the most part, and put up one more great year where you can say, I'm healthy, and then be the first overall pick.
You're asking him to go back out there and risk getting hurt without getting paid.
Yes, because if you go out there right now, I don't know. I really don't know where the draft position is. Teams could fall in love with him. They could say, I don't care about the injury history. He could fall and be a second and third round pick, and that sounds crazy when you look at the talent.
It's still money.
But this kind of injury,
it's still money, man. It's still money in his pocket. He's not getting paid now.
Compared to being a first round pick, though. Compared to being, here's the thing: the job security.
There is no promise that he's going to be a first round pick after next year.
No, but likely you're going to play for Alabama. Alabama's going to be good, and then people will fall in love with you. The question is, can you stay healthy? Are you willing to bet on yourself, or do you just take the paycheck now? I think that's the question with Tua, and the real answer, to me, is stay at Alabama when you have this kind of injury, because you're not going to be ready for the season. You're not going to start right away. If you do fall in the draft, teams will be less likely to be invested with you. I mean, how many second-round quarterbacks wash out and you never see from them again? Teams will give first-round quarterbacks, look at Mariota, look at Jameis Winston. They'll give those guys every chance under the sun because they want them to be good, because they don't want to admit they missed on that first-round pick. If he falls out of the first round, it can be a death sentence in the NFL. So, yeah, you get the short-term paycheck, but it comes with a lot more risk of a team saying, hey, this Tua guy didn't work out. He had another injury. I'm going to go draft somebody else, especially if you wind up like on a team like the Bengals. Like, let's say they don't take Joe Burrow, even though everybody knows they're going to, or the Redskins, and they take you in the second round. They might look around and say, you know what? We have another high draft pick.
But isn't that betting on yourself again? If you get a third round, second round pick and you think you're first round, it's like, I'm going to bet on myself that I can win a starting position in the NFL. And while you're doing it, you're getting paid and getting healthy because you're not starting right off the bat.
To a point, yes. But again, I think going back to college is almost even more so, saying I will forego the paycheck now to be the higher draft pick and to really be the guy, be the franchise type player for a team. I mean, how often do we see coaches change and all of a sudden a quarterback's just out?
I wonder where he is on his degree. I wonder if he's done.
Well, he's a junior, so I imagine he's got one more year. But
right,
yeah.
That's not always the case. That is not always the case.
Yeah, and some guys get fifth-year eligibility, but he is a junior, so I don't know. Tua is a very interesting quandary, and it just depends. Again, he could say, I've done so much, and teams are going to fall in love with my arm talent and what I've done. He's going to be a great mid-range passer, I think. I don't want to use Dak Prescott as a example, but his mobility and his ability to throw in the mid-range is kind of in that, even though I think he's better than Dak Prescott. He doesn't have a super arm. He's not Joe Burrow that's like going to sling it 60 yards, but I think teams are still going to look at him as an interesting kind of scenario because this injury is significant. You're pretty much missing this first year. How high do you draft him when you've got guys like Justin Herbert and Jake Fromm? If those guys weren't there, if this is a 2-quarterback draft, I'm like, yeah, come out, because someone's going to say, this is the best I can do. But this is a 4-quarterback draft, at least. Next
year's supposed to be pretty tough, too.
And someone might fall in love with Jalen Hurts this year, too. So, again.
Let's move on to these comments. Scott and Martavius bring up Ron Rivera and different things. Scott saying Cleveland should use Rivera as he sets a winning standard at least. And then Martavius says he hopes that Dan Quinn brings in Rivera to Atlanta as the defensive coordinator unless he decides to make Jeff Ulbrich or Raheem Morris the defensive coordinator. So, I mean, I think everyone's on board. Ron Rivera is not going to be jobless for next season.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's
unless he wants to be jobless. Unless he pulls a McCarthy style, like, I want to take a year off.
Real quickly, and then I guess we can use this to go into the game. Did the Carolina Panthers do the right move on letting him go now and starting the additions to getting a new head coach? Or should have hold on to Ron until the end of the season? What do you think was the right move for them?
You hang on to him. This is pointless. Like, what are you going to do? Spark the team and maybe get into the playoffs with an interim head coach? Not likely. I think firing your head coach, unless he's detracting from the locker room, is always a bad idea. I don't think I like that the Redskins fired Jay Gruden. I know they've won games without him, but again, they played some of their best football at the beginning part of the year. They were losing games, but they were looking okay doing some of them. So, again, firing your coach in the middle of the year, unless he's become a major detractor, never the right move in my book. At least give him to the end of the year. Yeah. This, to me, was just frustration. I think the Panthers owner, a couple weeks before, he was like, we're not going to tolerate mediocrity. They had a couple bad losses, and after that, I think he just overreacted and fired him. So, not a great move, but hey, again, I don't run these. I'm not the billionaire that gets to make these decisions, right?
Absolutely.
Not yet.
Frank, good to see you, man.
Not ever.
Will says mock draft still got Tua going round 1.
A lot of them do. And some mock drafts had Will Grier in the first round.
I think I had him too.
Yeah, we all did. And a lot of people did. And Will Grier falls to the compensatory third round. I mean,
Ray says, just imagine, not interrupt you, Ray said, just imagine Tua with that the Packers offense. Packers offense. again,
they need weapons. I don't think the Packers' offense is particularly special. I like the running backs, but I don't think they're great. I like their offensive line, but I don't think they're great. I think Aaron Rodgers elevates that team. I like Devontae Adams. He's great. How about that? But they need more weapons. I don't think Valdez-Scantling and Equiminius St. Brown, even though he hadn't played, and Geronimo Allison, I don't think those names are good enough. They need to retool, and this is the draft to do it. Good news. There's a lot of receivers in this draft. There's going to be about 15 guys that are going to be pretty good. I think the Packers are going to take at least 2 of them this year, because I really don't see Aaron Rodgers going through another year with the weapons looking the way they are.
Sean, go ahead.
I think Packers would be a fine fit. They play offense, but...
Yeah. Sean, I do remember the Beach Boys. They're one of my favorite bands. Ryan says, Raiders got whooped last 2 games in the cold because Carr is a puss. But this game in Oakland versus the Titans will be a good one. 2 very good running backs. Can't wait to watch this one.
Both need to win. It's almost win or go home. I mean, the Titans technically could take a loss here and survive. Oakland, I think, is definitely in much more precarious position, being 6-6. It's going to be great. The Titans are really banged up. I think this game, all things settled, if the Titans came in fully healthy and the Raiders came in fully healthy, I think the Titans should win this game. But the way things are banged up, I think it's closer to a coin toss.
Yeah.
And that's not a dig on Oakland. I think the Titans roster is just a little bit more complete than the Raiders are. Raiders need another year or 2 to get there.
Yeah, I'll wait. It's going to be a great game. That's for sure.
Happy Friday to you too, Luke. Always good to see you, man. All right, you ready to talk about this? Who are you taking, Panthers or Falcons? We've kind of talked about it. Can we talk about the Falcons now?
Yeah.
Again, playing spoilers, playing for Dan Quinn. It has some significance if you want to keep Dan Quinn around.
Do you remember how I said I'll never pick the Falcons again?
You're backing off.
I'm with you. Ron Rivera firing was a little bit premature. I personally think you could start the whole, hey, I'm looking for a head coach, but I'm going to let you coach out the year kind of scenario. You could have said that behind.
Fire him the day the playoffs start. Doesn't matter.
Behind closed doors, you could have told him that. You might have seen a little bit more rally out of your team. You might have done a little bit more upsets, but I just think the Falcons can win this game. I think the Panthers are now without a leader. I know they got an interim coach, but without the leader, I think it's going to change. And I got to go against what I said, and I think the Falcons win this game.
Gotta bite the bullet.
Yeah.
Even though I like the Panthers much better on paper, I think, the shock, you never know which way it's going to go. Sometimes it swings forward and the players play a lot harder because they're like, whoa, they just fired the head coach. My job might be in jeopardy. And sometimes it goes the other way where they're like, I like Ron Rivera and they fired him. I'm done. Yeah, so I'll go with you. I'm going to go with the Falcons here for the sheer fact that Dan Quinn is still the head coach. If they would have kept Ron Rivera, I say this is a good revenge game. It's hard to beat a team twice in the same season. I don't see the Falcons doing it. But with Rivera gone, I'm going to go Falcons. Yeah. I think they have more to play for because they want to keep their coach around. And I think this probably will have a negative effect when we talk about how much these guys probably liked Ron Rivera being their head coach.
And the show also took the Falcons during the offseason. LaShawn McCoy is doing well with Kansas City, man. I mean, he's a veteran. He doesn't play a whole game. He plays half a game, but he's playing well, man. I'm glad you guys decided to release him because we needed him. Ryan says the Raiders are 5-1 at home. Only 2 games left in Oakland. That place will be rocking.
Oh, I don't doubt it. It's going to be loud, especially because, like I said, every Oakland fan knows that they need this one. And every Titan fan knows that they need this one because, I mean, we're getting down to crunch time. There's 3 weeks after this one. Both of these teams on the fringe of the playoff bubble need a win here, and then they need the Steelers to lose to someone like the Cardinals. But
how much baby blue will be in the stadium?
0. Like 0.1. We don't travel well. We don't even show up to our own stadium because this team is still jaded from Wisenhunt tearing down. We used to have one of the best fan bases for a small market out there. Always Titans fans, always packed. And then you know what happened?
Your ticket prices.
They signed Ken Wisenhunt. No, they signed Ken Wisenhunt, and everyone was like,
Your ticket prices went up, and your team didn't get better.
Turns out we're dumb. Ravens-Bills.
This is going to be a good matchup. It's going to be a tough matchup. I don't really, at this point, think there's any team out there with the way Lamar Jackson is playing that can stop Lamar Jackson without hurting him, which I don't think anyone wants to see that. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, which I know both these defenses are playing well, but I think that's a huge knock on the Bills because, they played a little bit better, but if the Ravens put up 30, do you see the Bills putting up 31 against this defense? And I think that's where you're going to see a struggle out of the Bills. I kind of want to pick the Bills. I kind of want to because it's at home. If they can keep them under 14, I think
this is the type of team that can beat them.
I see this benefits the Bills, but I don't see it, man. I think right now until it happens, the Ravens' offense is unstoppable. If they put up 21, 30, whatever it is, anything above 2 touchdowns, I think you're going to see the Bills struggle, and the Ravens win this game, in my opinion.
Ryan says he wants the Bills, but he feels the Ravens. See, I want the Ravens because I don't want the Patriots to be the first seed again. And when they inevitably beat Kansas City, because Kansas City can't beat them in New England, the Ravens can't lose this game. I'm going to go with the Ravens here, not just with my heart, but with my head as well. I think this team is still better than the Bills. I've been slamming the Bills for weeks, right? If they win this one, they're legit, okay?
You said that about the last game, and they won.
Yeah, and they beat the Cowboys. But then look how the Cowboys just played against the Bears. Whoa, look out. You beat the Cowboys. Good job, Buffalo. No, I'm just kidding. Buffalo is still a good team. But they're, again, I don't know that they're a Super Bowl contending team, but they're a team that's going to be in the playoffs. Their record's fantastic, and they match up well against the Ravens. You might see the Ravens struggle in this game, and everyone will be like, the Bills are legit.
Luke says Bills. He says everyone wants to see Lamar get hit hard. He has. You should go back and watch some of those games, man.
Yeah.
And he's taking hits like running backs take hits. I mean, it would make me nervous as a Ravens fan. Michael says, no, I don't want to see the Bills putting up big points.
No, he says he doesn't see them. Not one. Yeah.
Sorry,
no, but I'm with you, Michael. I don't see him either.
Sorry.
But I don't see the Ravens dropping 40 in this game. If they do,
that's what I get.
They're the Super Bowl favorite, right?
Sleep's important.
Yeah. If the Ravens drop 40 points in the Bills, they're the Super Bowl favorites. Is that fair? Is that fair to say? Because this is a good defense.
Yeah, I would probably say.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I think this is going to be a lower scoring affair. I think the Ravens are going to eke it out, though, 23-22.
I don't. We'll say Bills with the upset special. Michael's still picking the Bills to win, I guess. I mean, he just doesn't see it being a high-scoring game. I guess, Michael, you seeing the Bills' defense being able to hold that Ravens offense down? I mean, I think you agree with me. You don't see them putting up big points. So what was it, 10 points, 14 points you hold the Ravens to? I mean, what's holding the Bills back? I mean, not only did this team play great on offense, their special teams and defense put up points too.
Just my final point here, the Bills will need to limit turnovers from Josh Allen here because this Ravens secondary, since adding Marcus Peters, has been much better. It's almost revitalized this team, and I think Josh Allen is a picker. Like any turnover in this game could be the difference, and I think he's really going to need to limit that. I don't think they're going to ask Lamar Jackson to make too many special throws in this game. It's going to be a lot of running game. It's going to be a lot of ugly football from the Ravens. The Bills might ask Josh Allen to throw a little bit because they might see a bit of an advantage because the Ravens have been bad at times defending the pass.
How much snow's on the ground? A foot?
20. It's Buffalo.
20 feet of snow?
Yeah, you just can't see what's going on.
Didn't you live up there?
I did. It was terrible. A lot of snow.
Did you build igloos for a living?
I lived in one for 6 weeks.
Then you build them for your neighborhood too?
Yeah. It's terrible.
That's probably the only thing that's up there during the wintertime, huh? Igloos? Mm-hmm. Do you ice fish?
No. You can't get to the snow. Or you can't get through the snow. You just wait. You just wait for 6 months.
What do you drink? Beer?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing to drink. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the first place I go to when I hear there's a snowstorm.
Oh yeah, you gotta tool up for the storm.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on. Michael says 20-17 Bills. I think that's a great score. I'm somewhere in the neighborhood. I think there'll be a little bit more scoring, but we'll see. And then Ryan says no way the Bills hold the Ravens under 21. Look, this defense is good. We'll see what happens. I think they get just outside that 21 number, but if it's 17, if it's 14, I'm not going to be like there's no way that happened because this is one of the best defenses nobody's talking about in Buffalo.
Scott says put the lumber on Lamar and make him beat you with his arm. But he has. He's beat these with his arm.
And you're talking about a huge investment up front. You're talking about some one-on-one matchups or uncovered receivers out there because he has so much talent running the ball. And it's hard to just take that away, even with the spy.
Tight ends are good.
Yeah, even with the spy, Jackson is 100% more athletic than anyone that you're going to use to spy him. So it's difficult to do that.
All right, well, me and you have the Ravens. It seems like
Bengals-Browns. Let's move on.
And Ryan has the Ravens, and everyone else got the Bills. Everyone's seen the upset.
It'll make it better when we're right.
Yeah, let's move on. The Cincinnati Bengals go on the road to Cleveland to face the Browns. I mean, I know the Bengals got a win last week, and I know I called it, and I could kind of see Andy Dalton again rallying the troops around him and being able to get another win, but is this Browns team... I know you never want them to win another game as far as...
I don't, but they'll win this one.
As far as Cleveland is a city in the United States. You got to burn down, then rebuild it and rename it for you to pick whatever that Browns team's
Just fire, or just change ownership and fire the GM and
Move
all the players too, and the head coach and the coaching set. Just totally refresh it. I'll be back into the Browns. No, I mean, again, I've said that I hope that the Browns lose every game for the rest of the season after everyone came out in their support for Myles Garrett and what he's done, and they've kind of owned it as opposed to saying, hey, we messed up there, and maybe we shouldn't be too proud of that. Instead, you got people making Christmas ornaments where Myles Garrett's clubbing Mason Rudolph over the head with a helmet and everything.
Mine will be in next week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
can't wait to see it. We're going to smash it on the show. No, again, it's classless in my opinion. I think the Browns, even though I hope they lose this one, they'll win it. Again, the Bengals, I don't even want to say they got lucky last week because the Jets have been terrible, but the Bengals are still in that, tank for Burrow. What is it, blow for Burrow? That's the saying?
I don't know.
They're trying as hard as they can to draft Joe Burrow, and even though they have a couple game kind of cushion, they're not going to try to mess that up with Miami coming up here in a couple weeks. I think the Browns win this one. It's going to be comfortable. Baker Mayfield will put up some good numbers, and then we'll be back on the it was just a bad year for Cleveland kind of train.
On the show, I didn't notice this, but we had the Bills beating the Ravens. So even the show, us combined, pick against the Ravens this week.
We did. Off season, yeah.
Yeah. Ian says some tickets are $9 or $9 less than a beer at the stadium. Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I think
free.
Hold on, let me rephrase this. Apostrophe is huge. Some tickets are $9 less than a beer at the stadium. Cincinnati wins and leaves Cleveland in turmoil.
It's not going to happen.
Then Will says it's the game of the week, the Browns and the Bengals. Woohoo. And Scott is saying Dalton with the rally wins against the Browns.
And Luke says respect, but here's my thing. They kind of had that already. When you're a bad team, usually you can get up for a game and you can upset somebody. And they did that to the Jets.
Yeah.
Are they going to do it again? I don't know. I still think Cleveland is kind of in that middle ground. They have a lot of talent still. They might still think that, hey, if we win this and we have all these losses go our way and everything else, we're still in the playoff hunt. So they're going to want this game more than a lot of other teams probably would at this point in time of the year. They already had their miracle last week, okay?
They got their win. They don't really need to go crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, they need Burrow. So even though I think Andy Dalton will have a good game here, they're not going to be able to keep up defensively what the Browns are going to be able to do.
Start all your Browns in fantasy?
Start all your Browns in fantasy. But start anyone against the Bengals in fantasy.
Minus Baker, probably.
No, start him too.
Really?
I think, they're going to distribute.
Would you start him over, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers?
No, but if you've got some quarterback
issues. Would you start
issues,
him over Phillip Rivers?
Yeah. Wait, who did the Chargers play?
Jags.
Tough one. Tough one for sure. I'm going to say yes because I think the Browns are playing for more. Deshaun Watson versus the Broncos.
Broncos, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, I think you go Watson there. But if you need a quarterback, Baker Mayfield's not the worst one you can have. You're just going to name every quarterback and I'll give you the ranking.
I was thinking about tough matchup. That's all I was just trying to think of tough matchups.
And Ray says this game is going to be better than the other trash bowl. Yeah, I agree. It'll be fun to watch.
Will says, do we start Myles Garrett?
I'm going to go with yes. Think about it first. Check
Michael
the injury
says
report.
The Browns win. All right. I think we got the Browns across the board, minus Scott with the rallying behind Andy Dalton. I didn't see any other Bengals out there. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be a fun game to watch. I really honestly don't think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think the magic out of Andy Dalton was just that one game. As much as I think Andy will be a great quarterback somewhere else, he is not the quarterback of the future or right now for the Bengals.
I agree. We'll see what happens. Maybe Andy Dalton can have a Ryan Fitzpatrick type of game where he's like, let me show you why you need to pay me this offseason. But
not
who knows? It could. This defense isn't great. They're still losing this game because the defense is like, we got ours. We're not totally defeated. We're done. Okay, Redskins versus, what is that, Packers. Oh, man. The Redskins have played a little bit better, but is there a more lopsided kind of setup in this?
They are in the playoff race, man.
And they run the ball well.
They do. Really well.
And the Packers, at times, have stopped. And every week I say the Packers can't stop the run, they stop the run. And then every week I don't mention it, so they get run on. So
every time we say the Packers are going to win, they lose, too.
Yeah, but the Packers are going to win here. They just are. Can we all agree on that? The Redskins, I like Bill Callahan and what he's done these past couple weeks. The first 4, 5, 6 weren't very pretty, but pretty much these past couple weeks, the Redskins have looked a lot better. Darius Geis coming back, I think, has a big chunk to do with that. Defense is playing a little bit better. Aaron Rodgers still should have no problem here.
Yeah, you would think there'd be no issue. I want to pick the Redskins. I'm not gonna lie, I really do. They're winning games. They're doing it without Dwayne Haskins turning the ball over. They're running the rock really well. These are all huge recipes to win games in the NFL. You've seen the Packers drop some games off that they should have won. Chargers being one of them. That's the one I can think of right off the top of my head where they just look like a terrible team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they are.
But everyone has bad weeks.
But I do see the Packers kind of realizing that if they take their foot off the gas, that this division can catch up to them, especially the way the Bears are playing, and they got to play them next week. The Packers cannot lose this game against the Redskins. I think they're going to be the point to them, and this is going to be the whole point of the game. I see the Pack winning this game.
Lions versus Vikings is going to be another interesting matchup from the NFC North because even though the Lions have lost a lot of games this year, they've led in every single one of them. Can they pull off the upset this week, Drew? 3-8-1. They've got some of these teams at the bottom closing in on them. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they want to lose these games. And I know the coach will never say I want to lose these games, but long-term benefit for this team, would having a higher draft pick help them? Yes. Are they getting in the playoff race by winning this game? No. I think almost losing to the Vikings, maybe you can have a team like the Redskins or you can have a team like the Dolphins steal another win at the end of this year, and all of a sudden you're talking about the Lions having a pick that they could trade away that someone's going to want a quarterback in.
That's what I was going to ask you. What you think that they should do with this high draft pick that you're...
Not draft a tight end, but we've gone at length on that. There's a lot of things they could use. No doubt.
I mean, there is a lot of things they can use, but I think what you named it. It's trade that pick away, get more picks. Because this team...
Unless you're bad enough to get, like, Chase Young.
This team, to be honest with you, is a team that just does not have much depth behind their starting.
Yes.
22.
Yeah.
And that's what hurts them.
Yes.
Because when injuries started flowing in, this team didn't have legitimate starters or legitimate backups behind their people. And that's where, like Ian, I want to give him all the credit in the world about picking this team to be good. And the problem is when injuries start happening, which it happens in every year, every team, they didn't have enough talent behind it.
They've led in every game.
Yeah.
This easily could be a 6, 7, 8 win team. But they're not. So they need to learn how to close things out. A little more talent will help them get there. A couple more comments, though. Michael says the Packers are going to win, and Will is going with the Redskins in the other one, but I think that's more Packers hate than it is Redskins love. Also,
strong with Will.
Will is going with the upsets this week. Will's our upset master. Maybe it's because he's a Tampa fan. He loves his upsets. He's going with the Lions as well in this game. I just can't pick them. I don't know how you can. Whether it's Driscoll, whether it's Blow, whether it's whoever is playing quarterback for them. Does not matter. They're not going to be better. Yeah, they're not going to be better than the Vikings. 30 other guys that they have that we don't know about. Doesn't matter who's starting the quarterback. The Vikings need to win this game because, again, they're trying to run down the Packers. And I think they should win this game. Even though it's in division, the Vikings are still by far the better team.
Yeah. The only way, in my opinion, the Lions can win this game is if Bo Scarborough goes off. And he's been playing really well. Hasn't hit pay dirt yet, but this Vikings defense is just a tough team to run against. I mean, they're quietly a good defense.
I absolutely agree. Let's talk about a great game, though, coming up here. You ready for this?
I picked the Vikings to win.
You picked the Vikings. Good job.
Yeah.
Me too.
You didn't write it down. That's why
I haven't yet.
I don't want you to forget.
It was so obvious I wasn't going to write it down. But we'll talk about the 49ers and the Saints if you're ready.
He said blow. I know. It's like blue.
Yeah.
I mean, B-L...
O-U-G-H, which the French pronunciation would be blow.
No. That's not
okay? All right.
It's not his name, man.
That's his name. Until I see better, that's his name. Let's talk about the 49ers and the Saints.
What's up, Sean? Glad you could join us.
This is going to be a good game. This is going to be the game.
Good to see you, Ken, as well.
Yeah. Always good to see you, Ken. Good to see you, too, Sean. Oh, man, Drew. Are you watching the 49ers-Saints game on the 1 o'clock hour? Because that's the one I want to watch. You look at all the rest of these matchups. This is the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the game. I can't call it the game of the week, but it's the game. It's the NFC
It's the game at 1 o'clock.
It's the NFC game of the week.
I think this is still game of the week.
No,
We're talking about how good these teams are.
Chiefs and the Patriots.
How many games have the Chiefs lost? More than those two teams combined.
Whoa. Feelings.
Yeah, I know. My team has too. That's why I'm saying this is game of the week. At least till you get to Sunday Night Football. Sorry. Yeah. Well, no. Yeah. Even better than Sunday Night Football. This game's great. I thought there was a better matchup. There isn't.
Yeah, it's the Chiefs and the Patriots matchup.
Definitely not. This is the game of the week. No arguments from anyone. I don't want to hear it. This is the game that decides who's best in the NFC or who are some of the best in the NFC. The 49ers almost beat the Ravens last week. They're going to be coming off that win, and then you got the Saints who, even though they've been playing really, really well, Drew, this is the team that, for whatever reason, I just don't feel like they have it. They're winning games, but I'm just waiting for their offense to, like, show me something. I don't know. And do I need proof from Drew Brees? We know he's a great quarterback, and yet every time I watch him this year, I'm like, something doesn't seem right. It's almost like the same Tom Brady kind of feeling I get that you're like, something's not right with Drew Brees. He doesn't look like the guy he's been in the past. Do you think that shows on Sunday?
A thumb injury.
And he's old. And he's 40.
Sean, we do have the Browns winning against the Bengals. He asked, do you think the Browns win? We both picked the Browns to win.
Have to. This week, it has to be a win. Otherwise, Freddie Kitchens is officially 100% dead in his job.
Will's got the Saints winning 35-33, and Michael says this is the game of the week. And Sean says the Chiefs win. I like this guy. I like Sean. He knows what he's talking about. I think there's too many. There's so many things that you could point out about this Saints team and the reason why you see Drew Brees kind of not being at the top of his game. First thing is weapons. We all kind of know that you have Michael Thomas, and after that you kind of just die off a little quick. There's a big giant drop into your next player and the talent around him. Alvin Kamara's been hurt. I still don't think he's completely healthy. I know you have Martavius Murray. And he's playing great, but he's not an Alvin Kamara. He isn't the kind of guy that has those home run hitting play abilities like Kamara has, and you need him to be healthy. And to be honest, I don't know how healthy he's going to be in this game.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of one of those things where you kind of put that guy on the shelf and you kind of get yourself to the playoffs and allow that guy to get completely healthy, because I think that's going to be the Saints' problem going into the playoffs, is that they need talent around Drew Brees because of his age, and he's not going to be able to make Ted Ginn and Traquan Smith or whatever his name is look.
Don't insult Traquan.
Look like top talent in the NFL. But that being said, we've also seen this defense rally around this team and win games for this team while Drew Brees was trying to get healthy. I'm going to give it to the 49ers. I'm actually going to pick the 49ers to win this game.
Here, I thought we were about to disagree. Me too. I like the 49ers here. They're going to out-physical the Saints. They're going to win this game. I know.
They got Matt Breida.
It doesn't matter who's running the ball. And this is why you don't need to take a high-level running back, because it just build a great team and it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but when you have your best running back come back out of the group.
I know. I know. I think the 49ers are definitely the team to beat here. I think until I see them play poorly, I'm going to say that they're going to win this game. I've seen the Saints kind of be up and down. I mean, even the games with Teddy Bridgewater and some of these games since Drew Brees has come back, the offense has been, I don't know what the right word is. I want to say middling, but that's not, because they're still like good, but you're like, they did enough to win. You're not going to be able to like do enough to win against a team like the 49ers. You have to come out and you have to beat some killers. You need 21 points on the board before they get 7. Honestly, this is the game that I just don't see the Saints having the muscle, and I don't see the defense being able to step up. And they've stepped up in the past. They're not stepping up to stop the 49ers and shutting them out. I'm gonna go 49ers here. It's going to be a great game, though. I think we're in for another barn burner with this 49ers team where it's going to be close all the way through, and then the 49ers will finally pull one out, whereas the Seahawks and Ravens game, they lost to a last-second field goal.
Ian says it's funny when you say a 1 o'clock game, it's 10 a.m. The late games are at 1 o'clock. How do you do it in Eastern time zone?
How do you do it in the Pacific? 10 a.m.? Like in the morning? You get up for that?
You just stay up for that.
Well, it's actually noon for us because we're on the Central time zone. But I say 1 o'clock because that's where most people are watching those games. So I try to. I'm the egalitarian. I'm trying to keep people, on familiar terms with what they're used to.
Isn't like Eastern time zone like the standard time zone that you consider the United States?
It's God's time. I know that. I don't know about standard, but it's God's time.
Or it's
or Central time zone. I'm not sure what you said.
Don't you always hear it on television where it's like 10 o'clock Eastern time?
Yeah.
And that it's like always Eastern
well,
time,
look at the population density maps. Half the country lives on the East Coast
rises
still.
On the East?
No, it's because that's where everyone landed like 300 years ago and nobody's moved. Like, some people went out there, but most people are lazy like me, and they're just like, you know what? This is fine.
That's far.
I already crossed the ocean, all right? What else do you want from me? So, yes, most people live in the Eastern time zone. All
Martavius
right.
says he believes that Kitchens is dead, period. And
Sean agrees. He says Kitchens is done.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it might be before the season ends if they lose this one. At this point, if you're Jimmy Haslam and you make irrational decisions, just fire him. You lose the Bengals, that's bad. You're fired. It's that simple. I think if they lose this game, Freddie Kitchens might be fired before the end of the year. But I'm with you. I think he's going to be a one and done in Cleveland. But you never know. Like I said, the Browns make bad decisions all the time. No offense, Browns fans, but you know it's true. Come on.
Ryan says the Saints are going to win this game.
Do you think so? I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying they won't. The 49ers are playing great defense. The 49ers seem like the more motivated team. They run the ball better. Jimmy G, even though he's not the better quarterback, plays better in spurts than Drew Brees seems like he plays. They don't have the better weapons, because I like Michael Thomas and I like Alvin Kamara, even banged up, on paper better than anyone else, but it doesn't seem to matter. I mean, it does not seem to matter who's running the ball for the 49ers. They're getting like 300 yards a game. I'm exaggerating, but you get my meaning. Nobody can stop this run game, and I don't think the Saints are going to just shut that down.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think, again, Saints need to just kind of squeak themselves in the playoffs, keep themselves healthy, and then pull all the weapons out. And I think a team like the 49ers, who have to still, in my opinion, are still trying to prove themselves to be one of the better teams in the NFL. I mean, does everyone truly give credit to the Niners being one of the better teams in the NFL? Because it's just 1 year. I mean, do they get the credit they deserve?
Kyle Shanahan is getting the credit, or should be getting the credit for all of this. Again, I still think this roster is under-talented from a skill perspective.
Coach of the year, though? I mean,
he's not guaranteed Coach of the Year. He's not guaranteed anything, because I don't think the man gets enough respect, to be honest.
That's exactly what I'm just talking about.
No, and I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, okay.
I'm agreeing with you.
I thought you said Kyle Shanahan is getting the credit he deserves.
I'm saying he's not getting the credit he deserves.
I'm sorry.
No. I might have misspoke, but exactly. I think 80% of this is Kyle Shanahan. I think 20% of it's the defense playing better, and I think most of it's Kyle Shanahan making this offense look better than it actually is. I mean, how long have we said they need more weapons? And they brought in Emmanuel Sanders. That's fine. He's a great player, or a very good player. I don't know if I'd call him great. But if you look at some of these receivers, and you look at some of these running backs, and you look at the injuries they've had on the offensive line, and they're still performing week in and week out.
Or offensive weapons.
He is the better version of Sean McVay that nobody talks about. Because Sean McVay was like 30, and he's like 42 or whatever.
Their fullback got hurt this
year. Yes.
Their running backs got hurt. George Kittle got hurt.
It's been a carousel at running back.
But all the other weapons have been getting banged up, too. I think this will be the first game we see George Kittle actually be fully healthy.
Yeah. Again, he's my favorite offensive coach in the NFL. And maybe this is just personal opinion, but I think the 49ers, when they signed him and stole him from Atlanta, he made Matt Ryan look like the best quarterback in football.
Yeah.
Not that Matt Ryan's a bad quarterback, but he's not the best quarterback in football, and he made him look like that.
Michael says Kyle is the coach of the year. He hadn't won it yet. I bet,
it's gonna be Harbaugh.
That's what I'm saying.
Mark my words, it's gonna be Harbaugh. Everyone, remember how down everyone was on, and I know people were down on the 49ers. Remember how down everyone was on Lamar Jackson? This could be Harbaugh. I think he's already won it.
That's what I'm saying. This team is not getting the credit they deserve.
And both are deserving, to be fair.
Yes, they are. But this team is not getting the credit they deserve, and I think that's starting to catch up to them, and I think they're ready to prove a lot of teams wrong. And in my opinion, the Saints they should be saving themselves the playoffs.
That might be this game where they're like,
I'm not saying
we could play 100%, we could play 110%, but Drew's old, not you, but Drew Brees is old, and we want to protect him. And
I'm old too.
Not quite that old, but you're getting there.
He's not that much older than me.
That's exactly what my point was. I think the 49ers win this game, and I think they're definitely the favorite pick here. I don't think the Saints are out of this one. I think it's going to be a great game. I think this is a field goal difference here, just like the Ravens last week, just like the Seahawks a couple weeks ago. This is going to be another great game that the 49ers get to play. Remember when we were like, they haven't played anybody? Now they're playing the good teams, and it's still great football to watch.
Yeah, no, it really is. Well, let's move on to the next dumpster fire.
Just as great of a game, the Dolphins and the Jets. But somebody has to win it, and I think it's going to be the Dolphins. Call me crazy here, Drew. We won't dwell on it too much. They're playing better football right now. I know the Jets are just got done with a 34-3 trouncing of a playoff team in Oakland, or a playoff hopeful in Oakland. But you can't tell me that the Jets are going to win this game the way they came out last week and got manhandled. It's not going to happen. The Dolphins have been playing good football. They battled with the Eagles. They battled these past couple weeks. I think we're in for another Ryan Fitzpatrick special where it's going to be just enough to win the Dolphins another game. Or it's going to be bad. I don't know. But
Ian says, just to think, if the two games you got on your TV were Cleveland and Cincinnati and the Jets and Miami games, would you really be a football Sunday? That's why they have the internet.
Exactly. It's out there if you go looking hard enough.
Trust me.
I promise you that. But
I mean, I don't know personally. FBI.
Yes, you do.
CIA.
That's why I'm here. I'm an undercover plant. We're here to bust you for all that piracy.
Hey, I
be
don't
tough.
personally stream it, okay?
I was going to say, it would be tough.
I just purchase
Consume
it by a click of a button in my eyes.
That says free. Yeah, I know. All
It
right.
didn't say free on it.
Who are you paying?
My internet provider.
Oh, okay.
It's Comcast.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, it's good. Fair enough. Let's talk about this Dolphins game, though, because honestly, Drew, it could go either way. I like Sam Darnold to have a good game here because he's done well against the bad defenses, which is further proof to me that maybe if they make a good offense around him, we might be able to see something out of this kid. It won't happen. I don't love Adam Gase. I think he's going to make some bad decisions, but for now...
Bell's still sick. He's still dealing with his illness, yeah.
Does it matter?
Yeah, it does. It makes a huge difference.
Has the guy cracked 100 yards this year?
Doesn't matter.
Has he cracked 80?
Don't have to.
In like 99 carries a game?
Just got to average 60 yards a game and you get 1,000 yards rushing.
I don't know that he's doing that. It's been tough sledding for the Jets' running game. And again, even though the Dolphins are very weak up front...
The offensive line is terrible.
So is the defensive line. I don't know who to pick.
I don't know if the defensive line's terrible. They got...
Not for the Jets. I'm talking for the Dolphins. I'm talking about the matchup. This is just... It's crud football. Honestly, one of these teams is going to win this game, and it's a shame that one of them has to because they could both use the higher draft pick.
Sean is going to pick Miami to win this game. I think you're picking Miami to win this game.
I am.
I'm going to pick the Jets to win this
Just so we're different on one?
Yep.
I appreciate you taking one for the team.
But no, I honestly...
Thanks for the L.
You sit there and you see a team that's going up and down. Both these teams are like that. Miami's on a hot streak. The Jets are kind of down. They just got embarrassed by the Bengals. This is a bounce-back game for the Jets, and they win against the Miami team.
I hope you're right. Colts, Buccaneers.
I hope I'm right, too.
I hope this is Buccaneers, but every sign points to Colts. I know they haven't played tremendously well, but they battled with the Titans. The defense played really well. This is a team that is still obviously playoff hopeful, but not even out of contention for the division. They need this one more than the Buccaneers do, and I think that's going to be the difference here. They're going to run at will, even though the Buccaneers are a good running defense. They haven't played an offensive line like this. They're going to get the job done.
Mac attack is back.
With a broken hand, no less.
Marlon Mack is back. I know the Bucs defense. We've been riding that train ever since we're like, holy cow, this defense can stop the
Thanks,
the
Todd
run game.
Bowles. You fixed it.
I think it makes a difference in this game. I think the controlling the ball on the ground allows Jacoby Brissett to not be under so much pressure to get the ball out quickly. You're going to see Jameis Winston do everything he normally does. He's going to put up 2-3 touchdowns, but then fumble the ball once and throw a pick.
3 to 4 picks.
And that's what's going to turn the game. And the time possession is going to lie heavily with the Colts, and I think that's where they're going to win. I believe the Colts are going to win this game.
I totally agree with you. It's Colts, 100%. And I don't want to sell this game short because I know there's some Tampa fans in the chat. I'm hoping Will's still hanging around. But even if he's not, this is an important game for both of these teams because the Buccaneers are still trying to build around Bruce Arians. They're trying to build a case for keeping Jameis Winston, so maybe if he has a good game here. But this defense for the Colts has been playing above its head for 2 years now. I think they're going to be fine.
Brian, good to see you, man. Don't get in trouble checking us out at work. Watch us on review.
Tell your boss to watch us too. But no, I'm just kidding.
True.
Look, I look at this game for the Colts and Buccaneers, man. It's going to be a good one. I really think it's going to be closer than people think, but the Colts are going to win it. It's going to be like a 10-point affair. Everyone thinks the Colts are going to blow them out here because they should be the better team.
I mean, they're banged up. You got Eric Ebron going on IR. You have T.Y. Hilton with that hamstring. Seems like he can never get healthy. But I think the fact that Mack is back, that changes it because you saw the difference between Marlon Mack playing and Marlon Mack not playing on this team offensively.
Not last week. I disagree with that. And the reason I say that is because the first time the Titans played him, it was like the same kind of thing where they put up like 50.
That was like week 3. That was 2 weeks that Marlon Mack went there and they're like, hey, guys, we got to figure this run game out.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the same thing. I don't think it had anything to do with the running back. The Titans did a good job plugging the holes. I don't know that Marlon Mack is that much better of a player than anyone else. I like him. And remember, I'm the Marlon Mack guy. Yeah,
he's the best running back out of that.
Sure, but by how much? He's a little bit better than the rest
margin.
of them. Have you watched, what is it, Williamson? Or it's either Williams or Williamson. I can't remember.
I mean,
he's been pretty good too. I think more than that, they have an amazing offensive line, and they can hand the ball to you or me, and we're going to be like, wow, did you see Drew run the ball last week? That was pretty impressive, right?
No.
I'm bashing Marlon Mack too much.
You would literally see me hand the ball to the defensive players and ask them not to.
Don't kill me. Just don't kill me. No, I think, again, I'm not bashing Marlon Mack too much, but I think rushing him back from injury isn't going to make them just an amazing, that much better of a run offense. Him healthy, yes, he's better than anyone else in offense. Him banged up with a broken hand like this,
He's not even on the injury report, dude. They're considering him healthy.
I know, but he's playing with stints on a broken hand from 2 weeks ago. His hand's broken.
3 weeks ago.
Is he going to fumble?
No.
He might. Again, broken hand. You're not going to have the same grip strength. And I know you tuck the ball underneath.
I don't think he'd play.
Well, I do, because I think the Colts need this, and they know that.
Are you admitting he's the best then by a margin?
Well, I've already said he's better.
By a margin?
I'm not. No, I'm saying they're going to play him.
If they can win games without him, wouldn't they just not? They'd just sit him on the shelf, right?
They almost won last week without him. And guess what? This is going to be an easier matchup. They don't need to have Marlon Mack come back for it. But you're in crunch time. Again, I've talked about this. It's win or go home for the Colts. You lose this, you drop to 6-7. The odds of running down Houston look incredibly long. The odds of running down the Titans look worse, even though it's not worse than that, but I'm saying worse than they did before. They need this win. So yes, it's all hands on deck, metaphorically, even broken ones.
Michael's saying Colts win this game. We're picking Colts across the board. Let's jump into the next game. We got the Broncos going on the road against the Houston Texans.
Are we taking Houston across the board here? Can we agree on that? I think, look, if Drew Lock gets...
Go ahead.
If Drew Lock gets the start again, this might be a decent matchup for him. Because, again, Houston's secondary absolutely ripped apart. They're not very good to begin with.
Comes out on fire, throws 2 touchdowns.
And then settles down and Deshaun Watson throws 4. Yeah. That sounds about right. I think the Broncos probably hang with them a little bit early. After that, it'll be all Texans. They're still not running the rock on these guys. The offensive line's not good enough for it. The running backs aren't good enough for it. The Texans will stop the run. Whoever's playing quarterback, whether it's Brandon Allen, whether it's Drew Lock, whether it's Joe Flacco, will have mild success against this team because the secondary is as bad as it is, but they just don't have enough weapons in Denver. And that's where they're going to come up short here.
Sonny, good to see you, says because Jamie Smith is going probably 2 interceptions a sentence. Don't
clarify that one for me.
Don't know what that means.
Okay. But going back to the Houston game.
Probably had the talk chat on, or talk...
Text to speak or whatever. Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
I think so.
I call it the microphone button.
Okay. I'll say this, though. Last thoughts on this game. I don't want to dwell on it too much. The Broncos have been playing better. They've surprised us the past couple weeks, right? Pretty much since that Vikings game. They've been playing decent football.
Yeah, they have.
Is there any chance of an upset here, Drew? That's what I want to ask you.
No.
0.
Dead
in the water. Don't watch this game.
Drew Lock's got tape on him. Defenses are going to sit there. Defensive coordinators, head coach will pick apart that defense. Regardless of how good Drew Lock looked the first quarter of a football team, you saw him settle down. You saw him start making mistakes. Even if you get a little bit of a lead against this Houston Texans team, they're good offensively enough to make a change. I see a heavy dose of Carlos Hyde against a defense that's just littered with injuries. And sooner or later, Chris Harris will not be able to keep up with Hopkins, and it will be a couple touchdowns for him, and it will be a 2-touchdown differential in the game. And
Ray and Michael are all in on the Texans. We're with you. I think this game stays out of hand pretty much all the way through.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say all the way through. After the first quarter, it'll get it out of hand. I think that the Broncos will be good enough to hang for a quarter. Then, like you said, just like last week,
yeah,
it's all going to kind of go down the drain. Texans will hang on to that stranglehold they have on the AFC South. Chargers versus Jaguars, another game that, again, on paper doesn't necessarily matter to us, but this could have pretty big implications when you think about teams like the Chargers needing a new heir apparent at quarterback. Phillip Rivers coming up on a contract. If they lose this one to the Jaguars, could they go snag one of these young quarterbacks in the draft, Drew? Because right now, they're not doing very well. I mean, you look at the Chargers, I got to look up the record. I think it's 4 wins. Yeah, it's 4-8. A loss here, you have the Jets playing a winnable game. You have the Dolphins playing a semi-winnable game. The Jets or the Redskins might pull an upset. The Lions might pull an upset. If they lose to the Jaguars, they could be in the market for a new quarterback, and they could be in the spot to take him.
Yeah. So Sonny clarified what it was. He says, yes, the microphone button. See? He knows what it's called. I told you it was the microphone button. When it's supposed to say Jameis Winston is going to throw 2 to 3 interceptions so they lose by 3.
I'm not going to tell you that's a bold statement because that's definitely a possibility, but I think it'll be more than 3 because even though this Buccaneers defense has been good against the run, this offensive line's in another world. I think strength versus strength, the Colts are still going to bully them on the ground, and we're going to see them run at will. I think it'll be by more than 3.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm hoping the Bucs do my team a favor, but you never know.
Minshew. I'll just go with that one.
Garden salad Minshew.
Yes. It's starting. He's going to start for this team again. He's won the starting or earned it or just got lucky. I don't know how you want to call it. Nick Foles cannot play well against this a terrible offensive line, and I sat there and said that they're playing better, and I thought they were going to, and then they proved me wrong. They started playing like crap again. Minshew does give the Jags a better chance to win, but I don't think it's going to make a difference in this game. I honestly think the Jags are just dead in the water, and the Chargers just have like a couple inches above that water. They're treading just a little bit better. Chargers are going to win this game, and it's going to be one of those games where you're just kind of like I don't know, 10-7, last touchdown kind of wins it kind of scenario where it's like that game wasn't really fun to watch.
Brace yourself, because I have been, again, in your opinion, very critical of Gardner Minshew, but I think he's the X factor here. I think he has like the only reason to play hard in this game out of anyone on the field.
Did he come and rake your leaves off your yard this morning?
He did. It was nice of him. Yeah. But I think when you look at Minshew, he's trying to assert himself and say, I need to be the starter on this team in 2020. And I need to have good games to do that. The defense is playing terribly right now. I think even the Chargers are going to go into this game saying it doesn't matter for us anymore. He's going to be the only guy out there giving 138% because this is what it's going to take to win it. I think Gardner Minshew is going to be the X factor. I think the Jaguars are going to pull off the upset here. And I don't feel good about this. Everything points to Chargers winning this game. Yeah. The Chargers should be the good team. But every time I say that, the Chargers lose. So I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm going to say the Jaguars steal one.
Wow. I appreciate the L for you. All right, Chad says, do you think Lockett will put up the big goose egg again? It's two.
First off, you're talking to Andrew's man crush here, okay?
It's 2 out of 3 weeks that he's done 0 receptions, 0 yards. I hope not, man. I picked him really high in my fantasy, so I have to start him. I'm one of those guys that if I pick you high enough, you start every game that you're available to play. So I sure hope not. Chad, I'm going to say play him. You got to see a bounce-back game at some point. These last 3 weeks have not been great for him. He's due for a touchdown. I don't know what you play, standardized.
It's the Rams. Short of Jalen Ramsey shadowing him. But even Jalen Ramsey hasn't been Jalen Ramsey this year.
He won't shadow him because DK Metcalf has been playing really well. And we all know Russell Wilson doesn't favor targets.
Yes.
He just doesn't.
Because he's a good quarterback,
Exactly.
That's what good quarterbacks do.
Right.
I'm with you. Play them. I think the Rams are going to struggle in that game. We'll talk more about that on Sunday when we talk about that. 7:45 Eastern, 6:45 Central. As always, let me get our quick commercial in there. You should tune in between the afternoon games and Sunday Night Football because we're going to talk about all this action and we're going to talk about the games coming up as well. At the very least, when I talk about whoever we're talking about, Tyler Lockett, forgot his name for a second there, he's due. That's what I think you hit the nail on the head. He's due. It's been 2 bad weeks. It won't happen forever.
It's actually been 3 bad weeks, but who's counting? Casey, good to see you. Says that's a tough one.
Jags Chargers. I think he's talking about
the matchup.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you, Eric. Good to see you too, man. We missed the hell out of you too. Again, I don't know why Facebook doesn't like showing our stuff to everybody, but we're glad you're back, man. We're glad you're back.
Eric is just a very busy individual, and
Facebook's screwing us.
He penciled us in this evening.
Or Facebook's screwing us.
He penciled us in.
Which is more likely.
Eric's a busy guy.
Facebook's screwing us. All right, we'll move on. Let's talk about this Chargers game for one last second.
Oh, one more comment. Scott says there's a couple of dudes in the NFL who just fall into money for just being there, it seems
I think he's talking about Nick Foles. But again, you should have known what type of quarterback he is.
About Gardner Minshew.
Well, he's not making any money yet. He was a 6th-round draft pick.
Good.
I say that, but he's making more than I am. But you get my drift.
Speaking trash.
He's making more than most of us watching. But I'll say this about Nick Foles, and into Scott's comment here. You have to know what you're buying. You have to know what his strengths are. So when you sign a quarterback that's a pocket passer with very little mobility, you can't look at your offensive line and be like 25th is good enough.
Read Eric's comment just so I can prove what I was talking about.
Eric says high school football has been occupying his time. We appreciate that.
See, told you he penciled this in his busy schedule.
And we always grateful for that. I also think I might be right too, but you never know. Like I said, final thoughts on this game. The Jaguars, I think they're playing for like Doug Marone's job. I think Gardner Minshew's playing for his job. I think a lot of guys are playing for their jobs, where the Chargers are like business as usual.
Yeah.
We're a good team that's not playing good.
And I don't want to take anything away from your comment because you're 100% right. Nick Foles, when they brought him in, I mean, that's where their offseason was focused on, was getting a quarterback to play in their system and spending money to get him. And that's what they did. Now you got to go out there and you got to draft and you got to do another offseason getting pieces around Nick Foles and making your team built around him. I still think Nick Foles has a good chance of starting for this team. I think it's going to be an off-season competition between him and Minshew. But by all rights, you paid the man.
You paid the man. Defend him.
You paid the man. You got to build the team around this
Yes.
man and just hope that Gardner Minshew is good enough to, if Nick Foles flops, that he can play with it, whatever pieces you have built for Nick Foles.
I totally agree. Titans Raiders.
But you got the Jags. The show had the Jags. I'm going against it. I'm going to take the Chargers.
Yeah, you're taking a real big leap here, taking the Chargers. But
because they're such a great team.
I know. But again, take one. It's going to be Chargers. Like I said, everything says Chargers, so I'm taking the Jags. Sometimes you just got to flip it in the NFL. There's too much parity, number one, and number two, it's the Chargers, man. They love losing these kind of games. Let's talk about the Titans and Raiders.
Let's do it.
Let's not talk about how I'm going to be wrong about the last game. Let's talk about this next game and talk about how both these teams need this win for the playoffs. Both of these teams, a loss could be the final nail in the coffin, especially the Raiders. Maybe the Titans, when you talk about with the Jags playing Denver and Pittsburgh playing Arizona. They lose this one, that might be all she wrote for them.
Yeah.
So my biggest takeaway is the Titans are banged up. They're down 3 of their top 4 corners. They're down 2 or 3 of their weapons. It depends if A.J. Brown's able to go this week. They are going to be a banged-up football team playing against Oakland. All things considered, if everyone's healthy in Tennessee, they would lose, but they should win because exactly for that reason. The very least, though, this is going to be a coin flip. I think Oakland's going to come out, and the question is, can they stop Josh Jacobs in this running attack?
It's been a difficult task for any team so far to stop Josh Jacobs. Scott, going back to the last game, says Foles has a built-in excuse with the injury. Hopefully, it's not his whole time there. I don't think so, Scott. I think it's just a matter that they didn't have enough pieces, assets, money to build a team around Nick Foles. Give him one more season and see if they can put enough pieces around him for Nick Foles to run that offense properly.
He is Kirk Cousins. Same deal. Protect him and get him a couple weapons, and he'll be good.
It's exactly what I'm getting at.
I know.
Yeah.
And I'm agreeing, and I'm just kind of like going to the next level. He is Kirk Cousins. Remember everyone bashing Kirk Cousins last year? They didn't protect him. He was under pressure. He made a lot of mistakes. Nick Foles is exactly the same way. And I'm with you. The injury is a bit of an excuse, but I think more than that, you need to look at it and say, did we do what it takes to protect a pocket quarterback? No, because this offensive line is atrocious.
Yeah.
It's not the worst in the league, but it's not good either.
Right.
So
Right.
if that's the case, what are you doing giving a guy $80 million if you're not trying to... And they've tried, right? They took Juwan Taylor, the guy that we were like, they're going 7th overall and taking him. They took him in the second round.
Right.
They've signed free agents. They've paid, or they've drafted rookies.
He's not played that well.
No, he definitely has. And that's what I'm saying. They've tried. It just hasn't worked. But
Right.
you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, oh, Nick Foles is just a bad quarterback because we didn't do enough to protect him.
I mean, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. they might, but they shouldn't.
Ian says you got to go Raiders. Let those two teams play for the 7th seed out of the playoffs. Helps the Steelers.
It is a very important game for the Steelers. A very important game for them. But the other way to look at it is one of these teams has to win it, which means one of these teams, especially if it's the Titans, they're going to be right on your heels again. If Oakland wins it and you lose this week, all 3 of them are going to be right on your heels. All 3 of the teams, I should say. So as far as the Steelers go, you almost would rather them play other teams so that they could both lose. I understand the rationale. Like, if the Titans win this game, the Raiders are pretty much out of it. The Steelers are far enough ahead that it's unlikely that the Raiders crawl back in and take that 6th seed from them. But you almost don't want them to play because when they play other teams, they can lose. Or a tie. Well, even a tie it's better than a loss. What happens if you lose and they tie? They're ahead of you. Well, at least the Titans would be, and then the Raiders would be tied.
I'm going to follow the hype.
Or like half a game back.
I'm going to follow the hype with the rest of the media and what everyone's saying is this: the Titans are a dangerous team right now.
And that's your first mistake.
Be wary of what Derrick Henry is doing late in the season. He's running like an all-pro. He's going to find himself in the Pro Bowl because of this. Even though his beginning of the season was not good, doesn't matter. Now he's playing out of his mind. You're going to see a heavy dose of this. you can say the Raiders' defense is playing better than what their roster is, but it's more built around stopping the passing game, not a run first offense like this Titans is. It's gonna be a tough game for the Raiders. I think they're going to try to mirror what they do, but I still believe that the Titans defense is a better unit than the Raiders are, so they're going to be able to hold Josh Jacobs back a little bit versus Derrick Henry's going to wear that defensive out full of rookies. Maybe if Burfict is playing, you might see a little bit better of a challenge, but nothing that's going to make a huge difference.
Maybe you could dive at Lawan's knee or something like that. Take him out of the game.
Take him out of the game. Maybe it's Henry's knee. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I got the Titans winning this game.
As long as it's not Tannehill's knee. For the love of God. I can't take any more Marcus. But yes, Vontaze Burfict is out here. The Raiders are going to struggle. They've done a lot to bring in some veterans, guys like Brandon Marshall, Vontaze Burfict. They've done everything they can to try to buff up a secondary or a defense that has a lot of young players.
See you, Sean. You have a great night, man.
Absolutely. I think the Titans need to be able to run the ball with Derrick Henry. I think, or I wouldn't even say need, but I think that'll be very prevalent in this game. They're going to hand the ball off a lot. You're going to see the Raiders struggle against that. You're going to see them struggle against Tannehill even without the weapons. The key to this game is you're going to need Derek Carr to step up and do well against this banged-up Titans secondary. If he can keep pace with that, Oakland will be in this game. I'll take the Titans, but man, I don't feel good about it. All these injuries, like I said, this is a coin flip for me. I think either one of these teams could absolutely win this game.
Lucky it's not the running back that's injured. It's just receivers, which they don't throw the ball to anyway, so don't even worry about it.
Well, they throw it to each of them like twice a game, and they're like, that's all you get.
Let's talk about the game of the week, what everyone's been waiting to talk about. The Kansas City Chiefs go on the road against the New England Patriots.
No, it'll be a great game, and this is the second best game of the week.
The first, yeah.
No, the second best game. It might even be third behind Ravens Bills. Those are good teams.
You're missing.
Both of those teams have better records than...
The word is first.
I think if you combine it, the Ravens and the Bills have lost as many games as the Chiefs.
Yeah. You got jokes.
Impressive.
You know what's really cool?
They've also lost fewer than my team totally. But you know what's really cool? Titans beating Chiefs earlier this year. That's really cool.
I can't wait to play you guys again. I hope to make the playoffs so we can.
I do too, because honestly, we do well against Kansas City.
Yeah,
we'll hit you with another one of those upsets.
Not this game.
You don't think so, and yet they shouldn't have won the one in the regular season.
We're gonna shave each other's heads. Like if you lose, they're gonna shave your head. Like live on Facebook.
No.
You would look like a penis.
Yeah, because you would look amazing.
Yeah,
right?
I probably would.
No, you look like a 48-year-old lesbian that's looking at somebody looking at their girlfriend at the bar, and you're like,
yeah. That's a good look.
You can see it, right?
That's a good look for me.
Okay, can we get back on track?
No, never. Jacob says Kansas will win, and Ian says playoff preview. Kansas. He's going Kansas City 2016.
Oh no. There's gonna be some points on the board. Yeah, I don't think 2016 is the final score. Even though I think you're right. I think Kansas City wins this game as well. I don't know if the Patriots are playing that well. I see it as a bigger win. I think people are going to be shocked. This is going to be the game where we start saying, the Patriots have lost it. The dynasty's over. And then they'll rally after this game. I think the Chiefs are going to blow them out. I think the Chiefs are going to manhandle these guys. This is not an... Yes, the Patriots have a good defense. This ain't the offense they're used to seeing. This ain't Buffalo. This ain't the Jets. This ain't Miami. This is going to be all Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to be a little butthurt after last season and the way it ended in the AFC Championship. This is like the total revenge game. They got Mahomes back. Tyreek Hill should be a full go. Travis Kelce should be a full go. I think the Chiefs score a lot of points here.
Yeah, they're a little banged up at running back, but bringing in Spencer Ware, who's used to this offense, we'll be fine. You got Thompson, the rookie, who played very well last week. Found out that I did not know this until a few days later, but he found out his high school football coach passed away, so he was out there performing for his tribute to his life. So that's real good. But you see McCoy going out there, you see Thompson, you see Ware, who shouldn't have to have a lot of practice to be back into this offense. And then, of course, when you got Mahomes, who seemed completely healthy, I'd say last week kind of showed that he's mobile and is able to move around in the pocket and run for touchdowns now. This is the Mahomes you're looking for. I'm going to pick Kansas City to win this game, too. I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think it's ever going to go out of hand where you see Kansas City put up 3 touchdowns and the Patriots are kind of twiddling their thumbs wishing they could do it. I think you're going to see a little bit of offense out of the Patriots.
I do too.
Because I think they're tired of hearing in the media that their offense is dead in the water and can't do anything. That's just a huge...
And this is the week to do it.
That's just a huge dagger in the side that the Patriots always seem to come out and play better because of it. I wish it wasn't the case, but let's be honest. The Chiefs actually played the Patriots really well. They have a long, long time. If it wasn't for one penalty, the Chiefs would have been in the Super Bowl last year.
I disagree. I think they played one really great half. I think the second half was amazing. I think the first half was terrible.
They played the Patriots.
They did not play a first grade half.
Very well.
If you're talking about if you're talking about overtime, sure. I thought you were just talking about that AFC Championship, but okay, I'll give you this.
They were a penalty away from being.
Yes, they were a penalty away from beating them, and I agree with you. But they played one great half. They got mauled by the Patriots in the first half of the AFC Championship. We're not talking about that. What we are talking about is how this game is going to be out of hand, and how the Chiefs are going to light it up, and how the Patriots.
So? I do.
So. I think it's going to be 38-20. I do. I think the final score here it'll be close a little bit early. And then the Chiefs will pull way out in front, and then the Patriots will score like another touchdown or two to make it look a little more respectable. But I just don't see them having the firepower, and this is where the comments come in. This is where the doubt, and everyone in the media is like, Patriots are done. It's over. And then it's going to rally them, and they'll be back to business as usual in the playoffs.
Bray says, Chiefs win. Steve, good to see you. He said, if Buffalo wins this game, Jake can't say anything negative for the rest of the year about Buffalo.
Yes, but here's the flip. Again, I told you if they played well against the Cowboys, I would ease off on them. And then we saw the Cowboys get mauled by the Bears, and I was like, maybe Buffalo's not that good. We did talk about this game. Steve, if they win this one, yes, all the excuses are out the window. They're a great team. And I think they match up really well here. I talked about that before. I think the Bills match up really well against a running offense like the Ravens have, so it's going to be an interesting matchup to watch. I just think Josh Allen's going to make one more mistake because the Bills are going to ask him to throw a little bit more than the Ravens expect Lamar Jackson to.
Steve, that's never going to happen.
It might. It definitely could. I think both these teams.
I'm not even talking about the win.
Or me admitting it.
Yeah, you backing off the Buffalo Bills. It's never going to happen, Steve.
It will. Oh, I didn't back off the Chargers, but I was right about that. I didn't back off the Texans last year, but I was right about that. I'm not backing off the Bills, and guess what's going to happen towards the end of the season? They're going to get to the playoffs. They're going to play in round one. They're going to lose 6-3. And I'll be right about that. And we'll see. Steve, yes, if they win this game, I'll give them some respect.
Then
How about
Steve
that?
will be knocking on your door and wanting to talk to you face to face.
And we'll be talking about how the Bills lost 6-3 and all that. Yeah. No, it's okay. Look, Steve, this is the game. Yes, if they win this one, it's going to silence every critic.
Yep.
Including me.
Yeah.
Okay? So tune in Sunday
I've
if
been
they
on the
win
Bills
it.
bandwagon.
Tune in if they don't, but tune in if they win. I'm not going to be too hard.
I've been on the Bills bandwagon. I think they're a good team. I think that they struggle offensively. And when you face a team like the Ravens, who have literally ran all over every defense you can think of,
yes,
I think that's a struggle. And I think that's where the Bills are going to have a problem with. And we talked this for quite a bit period of time early in the show, is can they hold them to 14 points? Can they hold them under 2 touchdowns? And that's the issue with the Bills, is if you put the pressure on Josh Allen to score 30-plus points where he has to score it, that's where the Bills fall.
Yes, but I think the Ravens are the same way. And they just haven't asked Lamar to do that. I think it's the same thing. But you don't want Lamar Jackson to be down like 21 points. You don't want Lamar Jackson to be down 17 points. Same thing with Josh Allen. These are the same team. It's just I think the Ravens have done a little bit better job of it than the Bills have at this point, but just a little bit.
It's not the same team.
Josh
Allen is not playing an MVP caliber year.
He's not as good of a runner, and he's not as good of a runner, and Lamar Jackson is. But I think when you
Lamar Jackson passing game, but he's got 20 touchdowns.
But look at the way look at what they ask him to do. Again, you can look at the stats and say, "Oh, that's so impressive." But at the end of the day, it's like Mitch Trubisky having a good game. When you don't ask him to do anything impressive, he's going to have success. And that's exactly the thing. He didn't impress me that much. Yeah, it was a good performance against the Cowboys, but again, you're not asking him to throw 38-yard bombs on multiple occasions. You're going to play safe football, and good things are going to happen. That's what I think the Ravens have done, and I think it's what the Bills have done. I think you need to take into account the total situation as opposed to just what happens and what the stats say. Because, yeah, if you look at the stats, it's been great.
I want your Titans to win a playoff game so they can face the Ravens, and I want to see what you
I would like that, too. I don't think the Ravens want to play the Titans. I don't think they want to play this type of team. They want to play teams like the Chiefs, and they want to play teams like, well, I guess the Patriots, they can't play offense, but they want to play teams that are more of a spread offense. They want to play bully ball. They want to go maul these teams. They don't want to play teams that are going to play the same way as them. They don't want teams that are going to go out there and play physically and go and hit their guys and everything else. No, they want to play the Chiefs that we're not going to play defense.
49ers.
Yeah, I know, and they won. But how close did it took a monsoon to win that game?
And then they played.
It took a monsoon to win that game.
They played the Seahawks and beat that game. And beat them too.
They've played well in those games too. But those are look at those games. Look and they blew them out. And they played the Chiefs, and the Chiefs actually did have a good game against them. But if you look at it, yes, they played the Seahawks and they played the 49ers, and both those games were close. And you know why they were close? Because they play the same type of football. That's not the type of team you want to play in the playoffs. You want to play someone like the Chiefs, because I think that's the better matchup when you build your team this way.
Remember they lost to it.
I'll step off the soapbox. Okay.
Oh, thank God.
I know.
Kenny, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. Steve, we love you too, man. Thank you for the great comment. He says, so if you take Josh Allen away from this team, do you still think that they are 9-3? He says no.
8-4, 7-5. Again, easy schedule mixed with great defense, mixed with good running attack, with Singletary and Gore, good offensive line playing much better than, I don't want to call them great, but they played better than they have, especially this last year. They spent a lot of money and it worked.
Yeah.
Especially in the run game. They spent a lot of money and it worked. So, yeah, they're fine without Josh Allen. And I don't mean to take that away from you, Steve. Maybe you believe he's your guy, and maybe I'm wrong, but at no point was I looking at Josh Allen like, oh my God, this team would be bad if they had, if this was Deshaun Watson playing for them, or if this was, I don't know, take your pick. If this was Baker Mayfield playing for them, would they be a worse team? I don't think so. He does a lot of stuff with his legs, and that helps them because they're still wide receiver deficient, I think, a little bit, even though they're better than they've been. It's not like night and day if you take Josh Allen out of here. It's not like Russell Wilson leaving the Seahawks. What happens to them?
Eric says Baltimore is suspect. They won't make the Super Bowl. To be honest with you, man, I think they're just one injury away from being a terrible team, and that's Lamar Jackson. You put RG3 in there, this team is no longer the team that you're looking at.
Yeah, but how many quarterbacks outside the Titans survive an injury to a quarterback?
Chiefs.
Matt Moore.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They were 1-1, and they played impressive game.
Okay,
I'll give you that. But how many beyond that?
Okay,
how many beyond that?
Okay, let's just say that's. But you can say that about any team in the NFL. But this team,
or at least 28 of them.
This team is legitimately one of those teams where it's like, if Lamar Jackson is not running this offense,
we're screwed.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. But like I said, that's 28 teams when they lose their quarterback. Like,
right.
The Bengals are like, we're still going to be bad. The Dolphins are like, we're still going to be bad.
Those teams aren't looking to go.
I know, and that's my point.
Going in the Super Bowl,
and that's my point.
And my point is,
what are the Cowboys without Dak Prescott right now?
A better team. No, I'm just kidding.
No, they suck. Like they're. And I don't love Dak. What are the Falcons without Matt Ryan? I mean, we saw Matt Schaub play okay in like one game, and after that, they're like, let's get Matt Ryan back out there. Maybe the Lions, you could say, don't need their quarterback. Maybe you could say the Broncos don't need their quarterback. Outside of that, like just about everybody needs their quarterback. I think when you say, we almost need to disqualify the quarterback when we say one injury could wreck this team, because that's like almost everybody.
But okay, I
don't mean to take us off at a tangent.
No, when I say that, I'm saying is this team is built around Lamar Jackson's success. And you can say that about all 32 teams. I get that. But you take Lamar Jackson's play away from the Ravens. What on this offense that makes you go, oh, they'll be okay? Because
so you're saying like if you take Lamar Jackson and trade him for another starter in the NFL. Is that what you're saying? So like if you took Baker Mayfield here?
No.
Or if you took Andy
you
Dalton or
like
anyone?
That, but like it's the same.
I mean, yeah, he's the engine of the team, but you take Patrick Mahomes out of the Chiefs, they're not the Chiefs anymore. Yeah, they played well in a couple games, but they're not the Chiefs anymore. And we talked about that.
Okay, listen to me here. I'm trying to make this very point. The Ravens are a good team because Lamar Jackson's success of what he's doing.
Okay.
If Lamar Jackson is not playing the way he's playing, let's say he's still the starting quarterback, but he's playing half the success he's doing now, this team is no longer good. And I know
I don't think so. I think they're winning games, but they're not doing it as well as they are because I think they run the ball even with guys like Mark Ingram. Yes, I know he's fantastic.
Ripping
but
apart defense.
Let's say it was RG3. I think they could win games. I think they could win our game because they're going to run the ball with Mark Ingram and Gus Edwards, and they're going to play defense.
This is what makes an MVP season. He is playing out of his mind, above everyone else. He is putting his team.
He's not playing better than Russell Wilson.
He's putting. Well, he's the front runner of the MVP.
Exactly, and there's a reason. Yeah, that's my point.
He's putting the team on his shoulders.
Okay,
and if he is not performing this top level, this team is not as good as it is right now. And that's where you're seeing the struggles out of the Patriots. Yeah, they're still winning a lot of games, but Tom Brady is not lifting this team above everybody else.
Now that I'll agree with. Tom Brady is not playing 100%.
Aaron Rodgers is not playing above everyone else right now. The team around him is playing well. I'm not saying the Ravens are a terrible team.
I'm not so sure I buy it on the Rodgers thing. They've changed their scheme. They run more. They don't have enough weapons. again, it all comes back to what is your quarterback good at?
Chiefs are winning games against teams without Patrick
Well, here's
Mahomes.
my point, though. If you take this offensive line out of the equation, how good are the Ravens? I don't think very good. If they go from being like the best offensive line in football, or maybe second behind the Colts, if you take that and put them to 10th, this team's not very good. This team's like got 6 wins. I think a lot of Lamar Jackson's success comes because he has some of the best blockers in front of him, and that's the way they've built it.
Great.
They're amazing, and great doesn't sum it up. Like this is like one of the all-time great offensive lines. Them and the Colts are playing fantastically well right now. I think that's almost more important. Like if they lost one of their tackles right now, I think it's almost as important, not quite, but almost as important as losing a quarterback. I really do. I think this team succeeds because they're as good at doing what they do, and Lamar Jackson adds to that. The difference is with the Seahawks, like you could lose anyone else and Russell Wilson's still going to be great. And this is the reason he's the MVP. You could lose anyone off of the Seahawks right now. It could be Tyler Lockett. It could be anyone outside of Russell Wilson. This team's still going to be great. You could lose Lamar Jackson. I think they'd still win some games. You could lose Russell Wilson. Seahawks are dead. And I think that's the difference.
I disagree with that, but we can move forward.
We
can move forward.
All right. Okay. All right. Sorry, we got a bunch of these comments here. Let me read a couple of them. Steve says Tannehill is better than Mariota. You knew I was going to read that one. Yes, but I've been saying that since they brought him in. Again, anytime you're 42-46 and his roster is bad as the Dolphins have had, the guy's not a bad player. And Kenny wants to know what are the Cowboys at right now? They are not good. What, 6-7 now?
6-7,
yeah, and the Eagles are 5-7. So a win here would put them both on level footing. The NFC East is just absolutely terrible.
Ahead, yeah.
All right. And Eric says Bama didn't survive with Matt Moore. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'll give you that. So, yeah, the Chiefs survived without their starting quarterback and might even be a decent team without their starting quarterback. But there's like 3 or 4 teams that can say that in the NFL. And that was kind of my point. But that's okay. We don't have to dwell on it.
Your point's not important right now.
I know. All right, we'll move on. Steelers Cardinals. So you're taking the Chiefs, I'm taking the Chiefs. This is going to be a great game. We all kind of agree on that. Let's talk about our last one, Steelers Cardinals, because this one, man, Drew, I don't know. I almost said I will take the Cardinals in an upset, but then I was like, yeah, but the offensive line's really bad, and they're not going to be able to run the ball, and Kyler Murray's going to be under pressure, and.
Yeah, and I picked the Cardinals last week to have an upset, and I do not see it this week.
I see it a lot more this week.
Nope. It's not going to happen.
I agree.
Steelers win this game.
I agree. Steelers are going to win this one and then lose next week. But they'll win this one because they have the Ravens next week, I think. It's Ravens or Bills next week. They have a tough matchup. Even with the third quarterback, the Steelers' defense should be enough to power them through against the Cardinals. It's going to be a good game, though. I think this is going to be closer than people think. I think the Cardinals have been that team, kind of like the Lions, that they're battling, man.
Steve just summed it up for us. He says the Steelers will win because he has their defense in his fantasy league.
Good pick. That's all I can say. Great pick. Because I thought they'd be good, but I was like signing Steven Nelson in the offseason. Not sure I feel about that.
Out there balling or anything.
I know. Yeah, I was like, maybe not on the Steelers, but they've been playing amazing. And they've been carrying the water for this entire team for about 14 weeks. So against the Cardinals, they should have some success. I think this team is going to be good enough to beat the Cardinals, but I think it's close. I really do.
Kenny asks, is Kenyon Drake going to get shut down?
Yes. I don't love Kenyon Drake this week. And it's not on Kenyon Drake. 80% of the running game is scheme and offensive line, and 20% is the actual running back skill. It doesn't matter how good you are. Look at Le'Veon Bell. It doesn't matter how good you are going up against an offense or a defensive line like this, defensive front like this. I just don't love him. I don't love him this week.
I mean, yeah, you can say Le'Veon Bell, but when everything else is around you is on fire, there's not a whole lot you can do but just be on
Precisely,
fire
and what's going on with the Cardinals? The offensive line, not so hot. Quarterback, maybe eventually grows into somebody. Wide receivers, developmental projects, and then Larry Fitzgerald.
Eric is picking the Cardinals with the upset.
I don't hate it. Again, I think this is close. I really do. I think
picked
this
them
is
last week, and they.
I think this is going to be like 19-16. It's going to be one of those games that one of these teams has to win it, and I'll just go with the Steelers because they've been winning games.
I mean, if a Duck and a Cardinals got into a fight, I guess you pick the Duck.
Where does a Duck come into an equation?
Duck Hodge.
Isn't his name Devlin?
They call him Duck.
Never heard that.
Oh, well, maybe you should watch football.
Okay. Well, if a Duck and a Cardinal gets into a fight, yeah, I think you take the Duck. But the other thing I'm going to say is, if a Cardinal and a guy working in a steel mill get into a fight, I'm gonna bet on the dude.
The Cardinals, yeah.
Yeah, you bet on the Cardinal. Interesting take. Again, how do you pick all these games? I'm gonna go with the Steelers.
The mascots, man. Who wins in a competition? Jeez, how do you pick them?
Who has the better cheerleaders?
There you go.
And the Steelers don't have any, so maybe I should go Cardinals here. It's got to be the Steelers.
Their costume colors.
Yeah, there you go. It's got to be the Steelers, right? Yeah. Black and gold, much better than red and white. Come on, guys. Red and white, everyone does that. So cliche. Steelers
White
have
after
to win
November? Or is it Labor Day? Come on.
So you're off on your stats. Look, the Cardinals will probably lose this game, but if they win it, don't color me shocked. How about that?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either. Final thoughts, man.
Final thoughts?
Final thoughts.
Week 14. We're going to know more after this week. We're going to know who's in and who's not. Yes. But I'm right every week.
You said that after week 2.
And I was right? We're like, we don't know how good any of these teams are. And now we do. Now we know the Falcons are trash. Remember when you told me they're going to win 13 games?
Yeah. They were my dark horse to win the Super Bowl this year. I was way off. We're going to find out what the game of the week is after all these games are said.
Okay.
Is it going to be the Ravens and Bills?
You just have to watch them to see which one's going to be the best.
Is it going to be the 49ers or the Saints? Or is it going to be
Do you even watch football, bro?
Or it's going to be the Chiefs and the Patriots. I think all time will tell. I'll try to watch as much as I can. I'll tell you, when the Chiefs game gets on, I don't really flip a lot of channels. It's pretty much stuck on the Chiefs game. So I'll be watching plenty of these games, making sure that I see the game of the week, but I'm pretty sure it happens in the late afternoon.
It's 1 o'clock, buddy. I don't know how to tell you this. This 49ers and Saints game, maybe one of them gets blown out. Who knows? But this is the most interesting matchup going into the week. I think it's going to be fantastic. Couple more of these comments. We'll get out of here. We'll do some special thanks. Eric says, I just want to announce the game just ended. His hometown school is going to state. And a shout out to the Oak Grove Fighting Tigers would be badass. Here's your shout out, Oak Grove. Good job. Congratulations making state. Now show me one more, kids. You got one more to go.
That's awesome.
One more to go. Awesome. That is awesome. Steve says the Bills will win out and win the AFC East. And I'm saying perhaps. But also, more than likely not. After this week, ask me after this week. Again, if they win this one, then I'll say, yeah, they can win out. If they don't, like they won't, then we'll talk about Buffalo.
My daughter's telling us that we've been on this show long enough. Yeah.
Special thanks. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you again for all the comments, likes, and shares. It means the world to us. And if I missed your comment, I didn't write you down, I apologize. But it was overwhelming, and it was great. But Michael, James, Sean, Will, Scott, Ian, Martavius, Chris, Ryan, Ray, Tyler, Jacob, John, Eric, Justin, James, Terry, Frank, Luke, Ken, Sean, Brian, Sonny, Chad, Casey, Eric, Steve, Kenny. You guys are all awesome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
I had a lot of fun. Almost 2 hours. You didn't quite get 2 hours out of us, but you got pretty close. It was a lot. It was a good time. True. Appreciate you hanging around for the whole thing. Yeah. We will be back 7:45 Eastern, 6:45 Central on Sunday night to talk about all this action and what actually happened in these games and where Drew was wrong and I was right. We'll talk about all that.
Oh, actually, where are we at on that? I think I'm beating you.
Yeah, you're beating me right now, but still 4 games to go. I want you to be comfortable.
4 weeks ago.
We'll be back. 4 weeks to go. We'll be back on Sunday to talk about all of that. We hope you can join us for that. So for Sports Around the Bar, I'm Jacob Bartender. This is Drew. We will catch you guys then.
See ya.